Essentially, according to UNICEF, the pandemic was the most severe disruption to global education in history. 1.6 billion students from 190 countries were out of school for an average of 141 days. In some countries, this lasted up to 300 to 400 days of lost schooling. A comprehensive evaluation of these impacts by UNICEF estimates that this led to 13% of the world's children falling into what they call learning poverty, which they define as the ability to read at a certain age. I think it's around 10, and they have a definition around reading comprehension to define what learning poverty is or is not. That is 1 in 8 students in low and middle income countries falling into learning poverty, essentially erasing all progress in the educational sector since 2000. So it's been talked about, and I'm quoting the UNICEF report here, as an intergenerational inequality shock. Because if you consider the impact of that lost schooling over a student's lifetime, and this is what the UNICEF report did, they estimate that the educational disruptions alone could lead to up to $21 trillion in lost earnings for this current generation of children. Now, what do the empirical studies tell us? We have 2 meta-analyses looking at, bringing together and synthesizing individual research studies from many, many different countries around the world. Most of these are high-income countries because of the nature of data collection and the systems of data that are already in place monitoring educational attainment and testing scores. And these 2 meta-analyses show that on average, the first one, 50% of a year of learning was lost on average around the world. The second one, 35% of a year was lost. But studies from outside of high-income countries show a much larger percentage of educational loss. So for example, 2 studies, one from Brazil and another from South Africa, found that 75% of a year was lost in the school system. And this is being monitored through testing scores and evaluations. Predominantly, most of the research also shows that remote learning was not effective. Even in places like the Netherlands, which has extremely high internet access and computer access, more than 75% of students around the world just don't have access to reliable internet and technology services. And even if they did, can you really learn online for an extended period of time? Most studies really question the foundational assumptions that the world can just switch to online learning and continue on in that modality. I was surprised to find that we don't have a good global estimate of how many students dropped out of school and will never return because of these school closures. Early on in the pandemic, UN agencies estimated that upwards of 24 million students in high school and elementary school might never return to school because of school closures. We don't have a lot of data to triangulate these estimates, but we do have some, and the ones that we do show very concerning trends of increased dropout rates, especially among adolescents, girls, and those in lower socioeconomic households and countries. 2 studies in particular are worth noting. One in the United States that estimates 150,000 students dropped out and are unaccountable for in the education system. And one from South Africa that estimates upwards of 725,000 students are unaccounted for by the end of 2021. These are very concerning statistics. A recent World Bank report suggests that children affected by these pandemic school closures could have reduced earnings in adulthood that are roughly 25% lower than expected in the absence of pandemic disruptions.
Hello, I'm Kevin Bardosh, the author of this report. We are now halfway through this mini-series highlighting the impacts of COVID policy across 10 episodes. Remember, you can read the full report now by clicking the link in the description below, and also look back on the previous episodes, including the introduction of the series. In the next video, number 6 in the series called Lifestyle Changes, I'll be going through 10 lifestyle changes that came about as a result of pandemic policies across the world. Please like and subscribe to this channel for regular updates from me and to learn more about the work we are doing here at Collateral Global.